There are many stories and moments about Sonic that can make us feel incredibly sad.
Oh, Sonic! Why did this have to happen?
Even bringing us to tears. Let's see if you can watch the entire video without feeling sad for Sonic. The death of Tails' girlfriend. When Cosmo discovered that she was the only one who could save the entire galaxy, she headed to Final Nova and held it up for a few minutes by planting a tree so that Sonic and Shadow could defeat it. But for this to happen, Tails had to shoot Cosmo. The fox, aware of this, hesitated to pull the trigger because he loved Cosmo deeply. In tears, he finally confessed his feelings to her.
But you mean a lot to me. I don't want to lose you, Cosmo.
Overwhelmed by sadness and anxiety over such a difficult decision, he pulled the trigger to fire, ultimately saving the galaxy at the cost of Cosmo's sacrifice. She gave Tails a first and final kiss before disappearing right in front of him. After Final Nova was destroyed, Sonic met Tails, apologized to the fox, and handed him the only thing he could find of Cosmo, a single seed. Tails, still unable to accept his loss, cried inconsolably.
Oh, Sonic! Why did this have to happen? It's just not fair.
The last time Shadow was happy. Sonic X tells one of the most tragic stories in the series. As we know, Shadow suffered greatly after losing his best friend Maria, an event that scarred him forever. Losing the most important person in your life is devastating. Now, imagine losing them twice. The series introduced us to Molly, a brave girl who cared deeply about her planet, Cascade, and wanted to save it from the evil Metarex army. Their battle lasted for many years and claimed countless lives. During one of these battles, Dr. Eggman was nearby searching for a Chaos Emerald. When attacked in the chaos, he ordered Shadow to eliminate the Metarex. Thanks to this, Molly was saved by Shadow. Grateful, she invited him and Eggman to dine with her. While searching for the Chaos Emerald, Shadow realized how much Molly reminded him of Maria. Her hair, her smile, and her cheerful demeanor brought happiness back into Shadow's life. He even became frustrated that he wasn't created as a hero. Molly's presence changed him. When they returned, a planet leader revealed the Chaos Emerald's location, giving Molly a key and instructions on how to find it. Shadow and Molly arrived, but upon opening the door, they discovered it was a trap meant to end Molly's life. Molly had been betrayed by her own team, who planned to hand over Shadow, Eggman, and the Chaos Emerald. They knew Molly wouldn't agree to this. Molly couldn't process the betrayal by her friends, colleagues, and loved ones who intended to take her life. Molly charged the Metarex troops to defeat them, but tragically lost her life. Once again, Shadow lost his purpose. The only person who brought him peace and happiness was gone. After defeating the Metarex, Shadow built a tribute to Molly from the war's rubble, a monument symbolizing the brief moments of joy he shared with her. Silver loses his best friend. There are many sad moments in Sonic games, but one of the most heartbreaking is Blaze the Cat's sacrifice in Sonic the Hedgehog. Blaze and her best friend, Silver, were fighting to save the world from a powerful monster called Iblis. Iblis wanted to destroy everything, and they were the only ones who could stop it. After a long and difficult battle, Silver tried to seal Iblis away forever, but something went wrong.
Why won't it accept me as the vessel?
Iblis rejected him. That's when Blaze stepped forward. She knew that because of her powers and strong heart, she could contain Iblis within herself. But that meant leaving behind her world and her friend. Silver didn't want to lose her, but Blaze smiled and told them everything would be okay.
No, I can't do that to you. I can't. I wouldn't know what to do without you. You fought alongside me to save the world. You're my friend, right?
You're still so naive. But I've always liked that about you.
With Iblis sealed inside her, Blaze disappeared into another dimension, saving the future but leaving Silver alone. Her sacrifice showed just how brave Blaze was. She gave up everything to protect her friends and her world. Though it was a sad moment, Blaze's story reminds us that heroes often have to make tough decisions, but they do it because they care about others. The death of Maria. The story of Shadow the Hedgehog is one of the saddest in the Sonic universe, and it all began with someone very special to him, Maria. Maria Robotnik wasn't just the granddaughter of the famous Professor Gerald Robotnik. She was Shadow's best friend. Even though Shadow was created in a laboratory, Maria always treated him like family. To her, Shadow wasn't just a creation. He was someone she genuinely loved. They spent a lot of time together aboard the Ark space station. Maria was always smiling and taught Shadow that, even though the world could seem dark at times, there was always light and hope. Shadow didn't fully understand those things, but with Maria, he felt at peace. But one day, everything changed. The government decided to attack the Ark because they believed Professor Robotnik's work was dangerous. Amid the chaos, Shadow and Maria tried to escape, but they couldn't. Just as the doors were closing, a soldier fired. Maria was hit. Shadow couldn't believe what was happening. With her last strength, Maria looked at him and smiled, as she always did. In that moment, she asked him to promise something important. She asked him to protect people and bring peace to the world. That was the last time Shadow saw Maria. From that day on, Shadow was never the same. He carried the memory of his friend and the promise he made to her. Though he appears strong and serious on the outside, his heart bears the pain of that loss and the determination to honor Maria's words. The story of Shadow and Maria reminds us that losing someone we love can be incredibly hard, but the promises and love we shared with them can make us stronger. Shadow will never forget Maria, and neither should we. The Tragic Life of Nine. Sonic Prime introduced us to the many universes in the Sonic world, and in one of them, we meet Tails' alternate version, Nine. Unlike Tails, Nine has a deeply heartbreaking past. As a child, he was constantly mocked by other kids and even adults for being a fox with two tails. Because of this, Nine always lived in isolation, with no friends or anyone to talk to. The only thing that brought him happiness and a will to live was his passion for mechanics. It was through this passion that Nine built 7 mechanical tails to defend himself from those who hurt him. If you're a Sonic fan, you know Tails is emotional and sometimes fragile. Nine, however, represents a version of Tails who has endured nothing but suffering since childhood. When Nine met Sonic for the first time, he didn't trust him at all. No one had ever rescued him or defended him before. Nine believed the world was full of bad people who only wanted to hurt him. Yet, he held onto a glimmer of hope that Sonic could become his first friend, something he never imagined would turn into his worst decision. The two worked together to gather the prisms as a team. At first, Nine thought Sonic genuinely cared about him and considered him as a friend. But in the final episode of the second season, Nine was left completely devastated. Sonic asked Nine why his universe wasn't fixed yet, despite having all the prisms. Nine explained that one was still missing. He realized Sonic only cared about what he wanted, ignoring Nine's thoughts and feelings. Sonic became angry and argued with Nine, saying he thought they shared the same goal, just like he did with his best friend Tails. This made Nine understand he wasn't important to Sonic, especially when Sonic told them, "You're not real." Heartbroken, Nine took all the prisms and left to create his ideal world, free from people who could hurt him. Before leaving, Sonic pleaded for Nine to trust him. Those words brought back all of Nine's childhood traumas and the pain of how he'd been treated. He responded coldly, saying he didn't care, and that the only person he could trust was himself. Nine is one of the most tragic characters, a version of Tails who will never know what it's like to grow up with friends or someone to rely on. Eggman saves Sonic, but dies. the death of Shadow. This is without a doubt the moment that brought the most tears to Sonic fans, specifically the ending of Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic and Shadow harness the power of the Chaos Emeralds to transform into their super forms and fight the final Hazard, who had feuds with the Ark. After an intense battle, the two Hedgehogs defeated the Beast, but this caused the Ark to lose control and hurtle toward Earth, threatening its destruction. Sonic and Shadow combined their powers to use Chaos Control to stabilize the Ark, but it required someone to make a sacrifice. In those final moments, Shadow thought of Maria and the promise he made to her. It's a deeply emotional moment to hear Shadow's words.
Maria, this is what you wanted, right? This is my promise I made to you.
Where is Shadow? Do you really think that the professor created him, Shadow, to carry out the revenge on all those who live here on Earth?
He was what he was, a brave and heroic hedgehog who gave his life to save this planet. Shadow the Hedgehog. Sayonara, Shadow the Hedgehog.